Morning. Hi, Matt. Steaming elephant. Hmm. Online. I don't know. Whatever. I was going to say something, but anyway, whatever. My brain just did the rainbow wheel for a minute, and I was like, what am I going to say? I've still got a bit of a shitty voice, but I also have an exam, and this is way more important than studying for my exam, as you know. So, um, I will at least do this. But I do need to, because the thing is that some of this stuff, if you don't sort of cover it within X amount of time, it kind of has to pass. And I kind of wanted to talk about this, right? Because it is an important part of, it's getting hard. It's getting harder and harder to defend. I think, well, okay, no, that's not fair, because it's not, at the end of the day, it's a platform. It's probably going to succeed. It's probably going to change. But I think that, my primary concern has always been with trying to get these people in tech to actually listen to users, okay, and actually, it becomes very clear who tech's customers are when you see, when you're watching from multiple directions. But there's a benefit in actually not being sort of a top tier creator and just sort of being that little guy that sort of, is a consultant, and that, they give a fuck about me, right? They don't give a fuck about me. They don't care whether I care about the platform, okay? They really, if you were doing good UX work and good user research work, people like me are worth engaging, okay? Because it's not so much about focusing on the highest value, celebrity clients, the people who are making the platform money. Absolutely, right? We all know that that's going to be the case, that they're going to be focused mostly on the people that make the money, okay? So the people that, drive spectacle or drive traffic to the platform so that they can sell ads, or that they can subscribe to Twitter Blue so that they are top in the mention, there's all of those things, right? Someone referred to the Twitter Blue people as the $8 arty. That made me laugh. Hang on, sorry, my headbutt fell out. Headbutt fell out. Hang on a second. Let me get rid of this. I hit play by mistake with my ear. Hang on. We'll go back. But it's something. It's a good indicator, actually. I mean, you can't possibly survey every user. But when you're doing user research, it is good to, this is where I can see that some of these products have gotten away from us, and that they're no longer disruptive, because they're not engaging in a way that I would necessarily, that a startup would, when they're trying to refine a product or trying to get users on board, trying to win back user trust. Again, it doesn't seem to be something that they have incorporated into their strategy, but I actually don't think that they believe there's a problem. And I know I'm talking around it, but I'm just warming up a bit because I'm actually freezing cold. My hands are freezing cold. And I've got neuropathy, so cold equals pain. But it's not so much that I think that I'm anyone special. It's actually the fact that, after working in UX for so many years, usually what you would do is engage certain users that are representative of a certain sample and get their feedback on the product. And Twitter really, Twitter X, okay, they really seem to have a real cultural problem, okay. And again, I've applied to work there, and haven't gotten heard back. I assume that I'm not part of their crew, and that's okay. It's not, I'm trying to give advice here. I applied, and if they want me, they want me. If they don't, they don't. That's cool. Okay. It would be cool to be part of the solution, but at the end of the day, you can only, do so much. But there, early in there's a bunch of indicators that with a startup business or various other, when you're building a product, there's a certain approach to know that if you care about your users, you would be, like I said, like identifying certain people, consulting with them, not sort of doing this sort of top-down, paternalistic, just we decide what the product is, and if you don't like it, you can leave kind of idea. And that's a very old school, old corporate kind of idea, right? Which is that, legal, HR, they declare how things go, and you'll like it and you'll shut the fuck up and we don't have anything to say about it. But a big part of like what tech was supposed to be was that it was supposed to be different. Okay. It was supposed to be a different approach, and it was supposed to it's in design, it's called co-design. There's a lot, human-centered design. There's a whole bunch of, again, for every common sense concept, you have 15 layers of jargon. But usually a sign of a good product, or at least one that cares about users or has, or something where you would feel that it was democratizing, would be that they would be consulting and listening to ordinary users. Now, I'm not saying listen to every user. It's not possible to listen to that many users on Twitter. You can do the data level, right? The aggregate level, okay? You can measure stuff. But if I was, design lead or CEO at Twitter particularly, the fact that they're only using, but, I've been observing a lot of the way that this sort of people who are, former Twitter, now X, and I'm watching this happen in real time, where obviously they're being encouraged, to do more, be more active on Twitter. They're sort of attracting a bunch of, bunch more visibility. Obviously, they're going with your employees are your brand advocates. We expect you to be tweeting, subscribing, doing all of that stuff. But it has been really fascinating to see, first of all, how, again, I don't judge on face value, but there's a type, which is, like I was ranting the other day about how tech, I don't want to see like beautiful people in tech. Tech is for fuggos, okay? And it's like, no, comms and, branding and marketing, that's for the popular kids. But for some reason, the popular kids just muscled in on engineering and muscled in on this stuff, and they turned it into a schoolyard situation. And that seems to be a thing at Twitter, where sorority, it looks more like a sororities and fraternities and, all of that sort of weird 80s, like it's a tragic high school movie from the 80s. It's more about the optics than it is actually about having real grown-ups that are doing serious work. Like, they seem to be children. Like, I know I'm getting old. Like, I know, like I'm nearly, I'm 44. Like, that's, the older end of tech, okay? But I also understand what this was about. And I've talked about this gentrification thing that happened with the internet before, but it seems to be like the more that people sort of are out there, okay, and the more you go, are you for real? Are you really in charge, like, with all of this, like, responsibility, and still have mermaid time to go to, like, what the fuck? Like, again, I'm not saying it's not like, like this high school immature idea of popular and good looking and not and cheerleaders and jocks. I'm saying it feels like that. It brings up those emotions where, it's like, and it's the same thing. Like, we were watching, and I was like, I don't want fuggos on my TV. Okay, and I don't want fuggos like on the screen. Fuggos are in the fucking engineering department. It's like a law of nature. Okay, and I'm joking, but it makes a more serious point, which is what I'm seeing at this, because obviously it's been quite opaque. Nobody has ever really, like, one of the jokes has always been like, I don't know anyone who works at Twitter. I'm in tech. Nobody knows anyone who works at Twitter. It's basically like a closed thing that no one could get into, even if you had, a lot of, money and a lot of sway and a lot of budget. It was a very much a click. Nobody had a contact at Twitter that could fix anything. Like, usually in other tech companies, you can know someone who knows someone or get to someone who knows someone. But Twitter's always been very closed and clicky, and they kind of kept to themselves and stuff. And it's just been very strange to see these, and again, I'm sure they're competent. But again, I'm looking at some of the court rulings and I'm like, they're not that competent because they don't even know the product. It's like, is the place run by interns? What the fuck is going on here? Like, it's very interesting. Now, again, I'm making generalizations to make a point, right? But yeah, it's always been like in the tech industry, it's like, I know a guy who knows a guy. You could always know a guy who knows a guy, but you've never been able to do that with Twitter, okay? And that's just something that, even when you're an agency and you're running ads, you can't call anyone. I've never been able to call anyone at Twitter, right? Can't get support, nothing. And I was like, okay, so who are all these people that work at Twitter? Like, that was when the layoffs first happened. My first joke was, wow, today we found out that people work at Twitter. It's like, okay, cool. But, but anyway, but that is a big part of it, which is where you kind of watch this stuff unfolding and you're watching people with very serious roles who, if you're looking from the outside, it's concerning, and again, it's like, well, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. But part of the problem is that when you make, when you make your employees, when you make as a social media strategy, when you make your employees your marketing, or you make your employees your brand ambassadors, right? There's always a risk that the culture that you have built over time seeps out, okay? And so what I'm seeing with the ex-employees at the moment, now I'm not saying it's not because I'm sitting there fucking looking in and I'm sad, or there is an element of that where it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is weirdly clicky and ew. It's kind of, it's jarring actually how, it's very strange. But I'm just saying, to watch them sort of interact with each other in this weird way. And I have a feeling that maybe there's a slight little mutiny going on as well, where they're kind of, it's fascinating politics. But they're kind of it's very glib. It's very mean girl. It's quite smug. They kind of, it's just been very interesting to watch. And I just thought that it's just really interesting because I'm not sure. It's so hard to know what's going on because everyone's under NDAs and everyone can't say what they're thinking. And obviously they've got a social media policy that says keep this within guidelines, escalate things to support, don't engage with fucking, obviously I understand the mentions of most Twitter staff is terrible because we can't have nice things. Again, I understand the complexity of the landscape, right? But I'm kind of sitting there observing it as someone who's, been, I wouldn't say in the thick of it, mostly because, I'm not an Ivy League popular girl who gets to work at Twitter with 2 weeks of experience and a rich daddy. But I am someone who has worked in the industry and I do UX projects and I'm a UX research, all that sort of stuff. And I've dealt at the strategic level, right, CMO level. And so, but one of the first things that you would do in sort of a product management role is engage users who might have input on the product that you have missed, or that they're not necessarily the front and center like your famous celebrities, but you've kind of got this cohort like myself. Now it's not just about me, it's about, it could be anybody, but I haven't seen any evidence that they have engaged in good faith with anybody who was sort of loyal to older Twitter, like a sort of OG that wasn't famous or built a high profile, that may have fallen through the gaps. They know about the problem because I've made them aware of the problem. But I'm not seeing much evidence that they're not just doubling down on it and making things worse, but also being extremely dismissive of the fact that, they're not actually fixing stuff. Okay, we've still got a massive bot problem. I'm actually probably more ghost banned than I was before under the original Twitter management, because they will not fix You can't access support. Again, I've said 100 times, I want to be able to fix my stuff and clear it up and stop feeling crazy and going, can you look at my account? Can you give me the all clear? Tell me what I did wrong. I won't do it again. It's all sorted. Okay. That's how you sort it out. That's how you make most of these messages go away, which is that you have a person that people can call, or a number of people, okay, where they can escalate it, they can get support, and then they can go, okay, well, here's the, like for some reason they seem to lack a support ticketing system, okay. It's fucking bullshit. Anyway, Meta actually have that, okay, so Threads has that, Meta have that. LinkedIn have that. Every other social network has that. Whereas Twitter gives you a special inbox where you are basically left to have no support. You are put into the, into a spam box. I have a feeling that I've talked about this before, how, legally, the second that a human sees it, they are then responsible for acting on it. Whereas if they don't, or it goes to the spam folder, I can see how there's that plausible deniability built in. But there's a whole bunch of false positives with this stuff. And that's all I'm talking about is like, what's your fucking plan? And it's like, well, I can understand, but I want to talk about sort of Linda Yaccarino's interview with CNBC because there's a lot of corporate speak. And, it's like, okay, it's like, what the fuck? So anyway, so I'll put this on and then I'll sort of go through it a little bit. Right, so.
Live today from X's corporate New York headquarters. Joining me exclusively in her first TV interview since taking on the new role is X Corp CEO Linda.
Did that play? Hang on.
Yaccarino. Linda, thank you for having us here today.
But I can't see it.
Sarah, thank you for being here. Thank you for visiting us today. It's so exciting, and to be on Squawk on the Street is a real privilege. So thank you.
Well, we're glad to talk to you. We have a lot of questions, and I think we should start with sort of the most recent major announcement, which is the company now being called X. Why did you do this rebrand?
Well, first of all, I think we need to rewind a little bit and remind ourselves that Elon has been talking about X, the everything app, for a very long time. Even when we announced that I was joining the company. I was joining the company to partner with Elon to transform Twitter into X, the everything app. So, I also at the heart of the rebrand, X, we need to keep our minds open that it's developing into this global town square that is fueled by free expression, where the public gathers in real time. And I want to stop on that for a second, because in real time is what's most important about the vibrancy of X and how people interact with it. And now it's all in one seamless interface. So think about what's happened since the acquisition, right? Experiences and evolution into long-form video and articles. Subscribe to your favorite creators who are now earning a real living on the.
It's so weird because it looks like she's reading from a big thing. It's just very distracting. But again, I'm not sure if she's just got like sort of nervous tics or looks around, because I look around as well, so I get it. But it's driving me nuts. It looks like she's just reading, right?
Platform, which is so exciting. You look at video, and you look at soon you'll be able to make video chat calls without having to give your phone number to anyone on the platform. And then payments. Payments, there's been a lot of talk about that. Payments between you and a friend, between you and one of your creators.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot going on, and the rebrand represented really a liberation from Twitter, a liberation that allowed us to evolve past a legacy mindset. And
yes, but how are you going to fix it? How? What? What's the plan? How are you going to build trust with users? How are you going to establish trust and re-establish trust when Tech Bros said, trust us, bro, and then you broke that trust? What are you going to do? Because nobody is going to give nobody's going to trust it. You haven't, like, what the fuck? Like, it's just this, again, this assumption of trust. that has occurred. Like it's like you don't understand. Like, it's like, how does nobody in the industry, especially in the ad industry or like this corporate media, like I think ad agencies, like if you watch Gruen, which is a show in Australia, it's about advertising. It's like a comedy show. And one thing I've noticed is the shift in the last 5 years. Whereas when I was watching Gruen, sort of when I first sort of started talking about this stuff and being really concerned, I was kind of yelling at the television about advertisers and the role that data plays and surveillance and stuff. And the mood has very much shifted at the agency level about the mess that has been made with data and like the way that has been misused, this sort of branded content stuff, like even in ad agencies, okay, there's a conversation occurring about where we messed up. But obviously Linda is former NBC, right? So she's like a very corporate media, legacy media person. And the fact that it still hasn't filtered up to her yet, that this is a problem, is concerning to me, okay? And a lot of it is, again, my feedback. I don't give, I'm at the point where it's like, well, fuck it, I've applied, but if this loses me I don't think I'm going to get it anyway, because I'm not blonde and stupid enough I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. I'm not popular enough to even get a look in, right? I don't have the right box ticking things on my CV. I'm just not one of those, that crew, and that's okay. I'm more of a grit person, and that's, but I thought that X was about grit. Unfortunately, it seems to be the same old guard. But what's really fascinating is the layers and layers of CMO speak, okay, which is like CEO brand speak, and it's its own art. And I understand what she's saying, and I'll try to translate some of it. But it is interesting, because what I found really interesting was that she was given an in to be more engaging with the whole idea, and it just kind of went just straight back onto talking points. And it's like, well, are you going to actually answer anything real here? Are you actually, I mean, say what you will about Elon Musk, say whatever you will, but he will at least address concerns and answer any concerns that people have, right? And for the most part, you obviously can't engage with him, or just, because it's you don't get seen, but he does, when you catch him, or you catch him in a moment, he does sort of answer. There is a transparency aspect here. But the fact that there's a whole thing here with it's just buzz speak. It's interesting. Again, benefit of the doubt, okay. That's the CEO's job, is to smooth things over with, and remember, this is CNBC, so it's like obviously the target audience for CNBC is investors and financial markets and, that sort of stuff, right? Business community and that, all that sort of stuff. But so she's obviously doing, she's speaking to that audience, okay? And unfortunately, the way that this is being handled is just making people lose their fucking minds, because she's already attached to the World Economic Forum and NBC and all that stuff. I just go, yeah, okay, whatever, okay. We all got to work in jobs we don't agree with, right? Who we work for is not necessarily an indication of who we are. But at the same time, it's like, well, fucking don't make it worse. Jesus. Sorry.
And a thinking, and to reimagine how everyone on Spaces who's listening, everybody who's watching around the world, it's going to change how we congregate, how we entertain, how we transact, all in one platform.
But Linda, I understand that you're trying to present something new and a bigger idea, but you're a brand person. Twitter was a strong brand. You have tens of millions of active users. Even Meta, with the name change, didn't change the name of Facebook. Some people think it's like changing J&J changing Band-Aid.
Well, I have to say, I think we could spend some time to talk about what bold ambition brings. Bold ambition that the team at X has delivers great experiences and great new products. And if you stay Twitter, or you stay whatever your previous brand is, change tends to be only incremental. And you get graded by a legacy report card. And at X, we think about what's possible, not the incremental change of what can't be done. And if you think about the velocity of product changes, infrastructure improvements that have happened over the last 10 months, it kind of answers the question of why rebrand. And the exciting thing about it is
that was a lot of words, and I'd love your thoughts on that. Like and like between this and like I shared a thing the other day about like a lawsuit where the lawyer, this is something where they're subpoenaing Trump's records, right? The warrant, and Twitter's, whatever, they're going through that thing. And the lawyer shows up and they didn't even know that fleets existed as a product. And it's like, if 50% of your job is dealing with like requests by law enforcement for data, you should know that fleets exist and what, and and I'm sitting there and it's like, is anyone running this place? Like, again, it's no reflection on, it's just there's lots of little things here where I love this product. I'm on record saying I love this product. But I think the product survives in spite of the team at this rate. Like, I think it's got some great engineers and stuff, but holy shitballs. Like, what the hell is this? And what's funny is that even the interviewer gave her a perfect way to sort of tag, which was, she said, if Johnson & Johnson changed Band-Aid, and you go, speaking of Band-Aids, you go off it and go, yes, okay, funny you mentioned Band-Aids, because users don't like change. People aren't going to be happy. We've got all these, sort of legacy problems. This is how you speak in plain language that's more engaging. And you go, we've got all these legacy problems. And basically, yes, you're right. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. And then you fucking move on. Like, I can't believe. I honestly, I sit there and I don't know who's running the joint anymore, because it's like, when I was reading the court documents, it's like, how do they get so many levels of nope when you're reading something where the lawyer who's representing your organization doesn't know about the product or what data sets are available, when a big portion of their job would be to know that. But also then being briefed by the legal team who should know that, and who, like, where is, like, there's so many failure points here. This is a cultural thing. But then you see, these sort of rich, cutesy, like, popular kids LARPing as, like, in very senior and important positions, being glib about these problems. And I sit there and it's like, okay, am I losing my fucking mind? Or is this a fail son? Is this just fail sons and nepo babies from the top to the bottom who are just talking in bullshit, and actually that the product succeeds despite them? I'm absolutely flummoxed. So anyway, I don't think I'm going to get hired by them now, do you? But anyway, I'm just going to say. But it literally, like, from an optical point of view, it even looks like she's literally reading the words on a big board in front of her. It's like she's reading cue cards. Now, I'm not going to critique anyone doing like TV performance or anything like that. It's really tricky to do. It's tricky to be on camera, especially if you're not used to it. Remember, she's like an ad exec. She's used to, she's not a TV person, okay? She's someone who's worked mostly behind the scenes. So, you give her that. But at the same time, like, Jesus, like, I got nothing. With this. But yeah, at least even putting Elon in front of the camera, I don't know how this is better than having Elon. At least Elon is sincere and he does, yeah. And also, I just want to point out, Matt, crypto's funny. Like, one of my jokes is with crypto is sell the dips, because like, every time I buy something, it dips as well. Sell the dips. But yeah, the optics of it, it's getting harder and harder, and it's just going to get worse. Watch this. So I got no words.
User sentiment on the platform, and it's only been 3 weeks, but the user sentiment on the platform, 3 out of 4, very successful. But
it hasn't only been 3 weeks. It's been 14 years of shit, and like, you need to like somehow commit to fixing that. Like,
out of 4 of our user community feel good. A lot of them feel great about the rebrand because they live with us. It's habitual.
3 in 4 in our user community feel great. Okay, I wasn't asked about that. Who? What's your sample size? Who said that? Who are you surveying? What is the substance under these words that you are saying? I just want information. I want to know the details. That's it. And I'm on board. All I want to get is the information I've asked for, and then I'll believe you. And I go, okay.
Habitual.
It's not like I've got a business that needs income and I can't risk. I need to know what to advise people. I need to know how to design my strategy. I need to know what the risks are and what whether you've got our back. As a user, I'm not Kim Kardashian, and I know you don't give a fuck about me, but at the same time, what's your plan? And how are you going to change things? Do you identify that these problems exist? Or are you just on Oprah's book club fucking talking bullshit?
Habitual. They know what we're about. They know where we're going. But what we found out was even more exciting, which was there's much more of a broader conversation going on, is what does this kind of the clear canvas allow us to do? And there's broader conversations going on about new products, about long-form video, about payments. So it's actually, we're believing in our user community and we're not limited by that legacy thinking.
You mentioned that it has always been Elon's idea, and he's...
You know what's funny about this, right? She's literally, remember how in the early days you used to be able to generate a Twitter word cloud? She's literally just a word cloud. Anyway.
Yeah, and he's been talking about this for a while, which does raise the question about your role as CEO and whether he shares control.
Mine and Elon's roles are very clear. And I want to go back to the rebrand for a second, because if anyone remembers, I know I have it saved, not everyone has it saved, when Elon announced me joining the company. And he was very specific and very clear that I was joining him to help him transition Twitter to X, the everything app. And now let's go to our roles and the clarity of that, because it's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward.
Well, it's okay. Can I just address this everything app thing? First of all, no government with any sanity is going to let this happen. No government is going to let you basically create a monopoly. It's like the regulatory environment alone is just it's not going to happen. And so, yeah, you might have micropayments and you might be able to, have the way that it's split up and stuff. But, I think that maybe you should be under promising and over delivering, rather than the thing that Mr. Musk loves to do, which is to over promise and not deliver and never clarify and, never and just, this is the frustrating part. Okay, I'll defend the product. I will try to go be charitable. I'll try to explain why. But this is corporate speak. It is completely washing over the problem. It's basically just corporate bullshit. And again, I qualify it with the fact that it is CNBC, and it is, they're just trying to, her job is to assure brands and those sorts of people that it's safe to advertise on Twitter. But at the same time, I need reassurance, because you know what? I have the ear of brand managers as well. I have the ear of smaller agencies who have the ear of brand managers. I have my own small business and I network with other content creators. I need to know whether you're dealing with the trust problem with users, whether you are actually consulting with people, whether you are dealing with the blue checkerati fuckwits that basically have made the platform garbage, what your plan is to deal with, these algorithm push, false positives, okay, and all that stuff around all that stuff. But I'll get to that point, right? But it's just like, okay, yeah, all right, it's on CNBC. They love their bullshit. It's just a segment. But I want to know, what's the plan? What's the fucking plan? And I don't want you to talk about features. I can get features anywhere. I can build my own version of that if I want. I want to know whether I have to build my own version of this or whether I can back Twitter. Okay? I don't care about your fucking product roadmap. I want to know what your policy and processes and what actual transformation is occurring within the organization that wins my trust back as a representative of a fairly average user who loves the platform. Okay.
Forward. Elon focuses on product design. He leads a team of extraordinary...
Yeah, okay, sorry, yes, let me qualify. They are using focus groups. But who are they? I have not seen a single person, and I pay attention and I look, I've not seen a single person that is in those focus groups that has been affected by some of these problems that aren't like large right-wing accounts that are in the United States. I have not seen them engage with people like me at all. Okay. Anyway.
Ordinary engineers and focuses on new technology. So think about it as Elon is working on accelerating the rebrand and working on the future. And I'm responsible for the rest, running the company, from partnerships to legal to sales to finance, all the things.
And you have autonomy in doing that?
Yes, I have.
So maybe fire your legal team then, because they fucking don't even know that fleets exists as a content category in the data. Even though half of their fucking role it should be to know what data they can commit to doing in front of a judge.
Autonomy in doing that. I have a great partner in Elon.
That was just snarky.
It's been
That pissed me
8
off.
incredibly supportive weeks. And
that pissed me off because I know how much these people are paid. I know that. I would, if I'd gone to court and said I did not know that fleets were a thing until this morning, Your Honour, I would quit on the spot. I would never sleep. I wouldn't sleep for a week. I would be so mortified and embarrassed at having gone to court with that, you know, like, and I go, this is the problem. It's like, well, who's doing, I mean, again, I acknowledge that it could just be a strategy to buy time, right? But at the same time, you're wasting the court's time. You're wasting everyone's time. You're kicking the can down the road. It's like, is there anybody actually running anything in this place that knows anything?
And I know a lot of people ask me that question. They're incredibly curious. But our roles are very clear. And the way Elon and I talked about it before I started was that while our lanes are really clear and defined, we are brought together by the belief in what we're trying to achieve, right? So when I was talking on Spaces and started, which was a joint belief in free expression, and the importance of that being a foundational core value of the company. And then, you know, you kind of think about it simply as almost like a relay race. Elon works on the technology, dreams up what's next, passes the baton to me. I bring it to market for economic prosperity, not only for our company, but for all of our customers, like our advertising partners.
But you
see that?
There's also a lot of hate.
So, for all of our customers and our advertising partners, not our users, not stakeholders or government, okay, who are stakeholders, okay, not society, advertisers, okay. So what we can assume is that major brands are going to run the show and dictate the show, okay, which means there is no freedom of expression. They're incompatible with each other. I've worked in the ad industry. They're incompatible with each other. Any kind, and I'm not talking about swearing. I'm not talking about even hate speech at this point. I'm talking about something where it's called with negative sentiment. Okay, so sentiment analysis. Okay, so a simple sentiment analysis will go whether it's positive or negative. Okay, a more complex sentiment analysis tool will, you know, declare the nuance, right? Which is like it's more complex emotions like frustrated or despondent or, you know, those sorts of things, right? Angry. But like they're using these sentiment analysis tools. And I, again, because I've worked in marketing for a lot of years, I also know what brand managers are, that they're risk averse and that they won't even be wanting to be negative. They won't want to do anything negative. They will want to sanitize everything. It will need to be oversimplified. Everything will have to be, if you want to monetize on X, at the moment, I think it's just a window where they're fixing stuff. But if you want to monetize on X, Okay, I have a feeling that what's going to happen is that for most people, you're going to have to speak at a 5th grade level with positive sentiment at all times. You're going to have to, engage in your replies with everyone. That seems to be prioritized in the algorithm. And, there's no real, it's just, but again, but obviously, this Andrew Tate, this impression farming thing, I have a feeling it's temporary, because when advertisers run the show, that's what's going to happen. Now, they have put on their dashboard this sort of, the advertising. I can't access the advertising dashboard because my account is fucked and no one will help me. But I've seen screenshots of it where you can sort of, turn it up like high risk, low risk, content. So you want it to be sort of safe, slightly edgier, but that's going to have like limits around it, because you're basically going to have to be within the ACMA. In Australia, it's ACMA. I think in America, I think it's FTC. It might be a separate body. I can't remember. But you're basically, you got to keep it PG. You're not going to be able to do anything. But they also will do sentiment analysis, and that's something that you don't understand, is that these algorithms, they actually will look at the sentiment. So that's the mood. That's the overall feeling that you get from your text. Like I run that stuff, I'm at the point where I have to just start running my stuff through like a sentiment analysis every tweet and see how I can fix it, because just using certain words, like even if you use them ironically, you get wiped out as negative sentiment, okay, or considered angry, when you're actually just using like active voice. You're actually just using active like active voice is considered negative in tone. And so you'd be, like go into chat, actually, if you're watching the replay, because I know Matt knows this, but you can go into chat GPT and give them a block of text and go, what's the sentiment on this? And it will tell you. And I'll say, it suggests me some changes so that it makes a positive sentiment. You'll see how narrow the language window is in order to get flagged as negative. And I, again, know this from working with advertisers, that they won't want to put their stuff alongside, not just hate speech or swearing or anything like that. They won't want to put their stuff alongside negative content. Anything that's that window is going to close. Okay. And again, so this is the next clip. So I didn't watch the whole thing, and I'm not going to put the whole thing on because the whole interview is behind a paywall, and obviously I'm not going to pay for that. And also I'm not going to, I'm only putting the clips on here, okay, because that's what they've made available. And so, yeah, I don't want to lose my YouTube channel, because this is where we live now. This is the fucking nightmare. This is the making the world a better place, democratization of information hellscape that we live in now.
And there's a lot of vitriol and conspiracy theories,
wouldn't want to be negative.
and those attract a lot of eyeballs too. And so if you're a brand and a business, why would you feel safe advertising?
I think that's an appropriate question. I think some of the headline comments or phrases need to be continually brought to light and debunked, and I'm glad you asked. But I want to be clear. For almost 11 years, my previous experience was at NBC Universal. And a large part of my remit was overseeing all the advertising revenue and partnerships for the company. And our number one social partner was Twitter. And Twitter was safe, and we felt comfortable always being there.
But not all brands. A lot of brands have left.
Okay, hang on. I'm going. I hear you.
Did I see her asserting herself?
And I want to take that last 10 years and put it in perspective. Because by all objective metrics, X is a much healthier and safer platform.
It's driving me nuts. She's reading from a fucking cube. It's driving me crazy. Look, I get that it's a lot of pressure. I get that it's her first thing. I get it, okay? I understand that she probably is more candid. It's it's a very visible role. She's not going to win no matter what. I actually feel really bad criticizing it, because I know that it's going to be an impossible thing, okay? But at the same time, like, oh my God, at least make it look like you're not reading. Like, what the fuck?
Than it was a year ago.
Twitter was safe. Remember my last thing where I showed that, like, the hate speech? I think, yes, while there was a bump, like I said, because there was a bump because the people who used certain words were back on the platform, there was still an overall lack of safety on Twitter, but the safety was different, which was that you would still get cancelled by a mob. But, like, it's like, okay, well, it was safe for NBC. I'm sure of it. I'm sure it was safe for advertisers because those that were doing that, you know, like, it wasn't safe for me from all the, like, PR firms and bad actors that were mass reporting me for merely, like, going, hey, something's going on here. I was on my own. Wasn't fucking safe for me getting suspended for no reason, for doing nothing except talking about platform manipulation and trying to alert people to it. To the 3 koalas in a trench coat that I thought worked there. Turns out there were 7,000 of them. And I was like, what the fuck? How does that?
Since acquisitions.
And like Matt said, so safe I stopped using it over a decade ago. Yeah, so safe that I'm actually on my second account because I was hounded off the platform by a stalker that was encouraged and started by my ex-husband, inciting a fucking mob against me, where I had to consider changing my legal name to get away from them. Yeah, it was perfectly fucking safe. And then they just wouldn't get me verified, even though I'd been on TV, it's been on the news and been on thing and writing op-eds, but because, you know, because they just arbitrarily, and I needed the verified thing because people were impersonating me and I was being hounded, and the verified thing, I qualified for it, and then they changed the rules. I was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck? Yeah, well, I'm sure it was safe for the people you talked to. It wasn't fucking safe for people like me. Safer now, believe it or not. Because, you know, at least the experience has been changed so that I can, you know, not see it. You know, but every time I get hounded, I just turn off the, like, notifications. But, like, you know, I don't actually see most of the things. But now, if I want to, like, get reach, they basically have, like, adjusted the algorithm so that if I want to get any love by the algorithm or the For You tab, I have to be replying, which means I have to see the abuse that anyone gives me, and I have to respond to the dudes that show up and splain my whole discipline to me in order to get my original stuff seen. It's just, I don't see how this is workable. I just don't see how this is not just going to be like, you know, when we went on Threads, it's just a corporate influencer, like, hellscape. I imagine that X is just nudge. So there's a different, like I've said, there's the people that change it straight away and the users get mad, and then there's the people that nudge it. And what they've done is that, as much as they're saying that it's a big change, they're actually not. They're nudging back to how it was.
We have built brand safety and content moderation tools that have never existed before at this company. And we've introduced a new policy, to your specific point about hate speech, called freedom of speech, not reach. So if you're going to post something that's illegal or against the law, you're gone. Zero tolerance. But more.
So illegal or against the law. Okay. So which law? Whose law? ACMA? Advertising laws? FTC laws in the United States? What jurisdiction? Details, please. I want details. Okay? Can we swear? What words are they? What words are allowed, aren't allowed? Is it the Australian classification guidelines that I'm supposed... What laws? Whose laws? When you say against the law, what do you mean? Does that mean law enforcement and a warrant? Does that mean... What does it does it mean that Twitter legal? Would the children that don't know that fleets exists get to determine what's illegal and legal? What does it mean? What the hell does it mean? Can I say fuckwit? Can I say, I can understand, maybe I'll get rid of the C word. I'll get rid of the cunt. Okay. I'll do that. But is spurg allowed? Is fuckwit allowed? Is dick allowed? Is balls allowed? Is bullshit allowed? Is making fun of Christians allowed? What laws?
Bluetooth mode.
Oops, speaker went off. What laws? Specifically, what's the process? What are the details? And every time I ask about the details on anything, they act like you're an idiot, or that you're either an idiot or a bad actor. It's like, no, I want to know what the rules are so I can tell people what to do and like incorporate that into my strategy. Miss CMO, who understands what CMO is, or the CEO, but she's actually a CMO, but like, you know, CMO which is that you've got to, in order to have a strategy, you've got to know what to do. I don't have any information. And you know, I might not be, you know, Nike or Apple, but I'm someone who people ask whether they should be spending money on the platform. Quite a lot. Right? It's just like, what the fuck? It's not hard. I just want details. Just some details that aren't spin. What do you mean by hate speech? Are you using the CCDH and their definition? What are you doing? What are the rules? And I know that people are pouring through the code and all that sort of stuff, but we shouldn't have to reverse engineer it. I want to know what words I can and cannot use that's going to have me flagged down there with Nazis on your algorithm, because right now I'm in the Nazi pit and I don't know how to get out and I've done nothing wrong. It's like, what the fuck?
But more importantly, if you're
and this is that, and I just want to say this is a tough love thing because I want this to work. But holy shitballs, get your shit together.
going to post something that is lawful, but it's awful, you get labeled. You get
what do
labeled,
you mean?
You get de-amplified, which means...
What does that mean? Lawful. Who's deciding what is lawful? Okay, what rules? Which laws? Is it Australian laws? Because Elon Musk has said that. Is it based on case law? Do you have to get legal consultation? Does every tweet that I write have to go through legal to determine whether it's lawful or not before I post it? Who's deciding lawful? More importantly, who's deciding awful? That's awful fuzzy. What does awful mean? Is that showing up in the replies of somebody and saying, hey, I think, what do you mean? Define this. Define this. All I want is a definition and some fucking details after a year of defending and looking like a fuckwit, having arguments with people going, no, you know, people thinking that I've lost my mind, people thinking that I'm backing the wrong horse, people thinking that I'm stupid, people thinking that I'm one of those idiot NFT bros who calls themselves a news channel. I just want answers. Because it's not just about you saving face, it's about me saving face. As a consultant and as a person who people look to for, you know, correct advice on this stuff, I have no information to work with. And the only evidence that I have is that you don't give a fuck about anyone but your corporate sponsors and fucking Nazis.
Which means it cannot be shared. And it is certainly demonetized. Back to your direct point about
brand safety.
Brand safety. So they are protected from the risk of being next to that content. And it's also why
so they're protected from the risk.
It's really important to
hear
know.
that. So they're protected from the risk of being next to that content, which means that if you even say anything remotely negative, but also this is very slippery legal language. So the way that it works is that it's not just if you say it, okay? If you're somebody who they have flagged as at risk of sharing bad content, even if it is something where you correct it and debunk it, you'll be punished. So if you're a good actor on that platform who goes in there and corrects like these things, you will be punished. You will not be able to grow your channel. You will not be able to show up. You will not be able to do any fact checking. Anything that is remotely like that, you get punished. You can't monetize. That means that there is no incentive to do it unless you're someone like me who actually cares, but that I'm like 3 people. Everyone else is in it for a fucking buck. You know, like what the hell? You know, like it's like I don't know what to do. At this point, I think it is sunk costs that's telling me that I should like do. It's like what the hell? So it's not just whether I post something, it's whether I follow someone who does that, okay? Because there's a risk. There's always a risk that I will share it or engage with it or like it. So that's a risk, okay? Define risk. What do you mean? Does that mean that if all of the fucking troll Nazi accounts that follow and unfollow me on Twitter to suppress my reach that I can't do anything about because I can't talk to anybody, that I'm punished because they're following me and replying to me when I don't have any control over that? Like, what the hell? What if because I follow people that I'm interested in, because I'm tracking certain things and I like to debunk certain things, and I like to get I like to, follow a wide range of things so I get all of the potential information, because a lot of the information about sort of censorship, whether I like it or not, is coming from the loonies on the, I follow some people that are a bit crazy because they're the ones that are doing this like sleuthing work. And so I get punished because I'm working because I'm reading it and I'm seeing it and I'm engaging with it. Define risk. Is me expanding the tweet that I hate and I don't agree with, but I'm just trying to extract the information from? Does that mean I can't? Well, what is fucking my account? I want to know. Tell me.
That once a post is labeled and it can't be shared.
Labeled. So they've had that labeling. So that's the not safe for work, do not share, do not amplify settings in their like CRM, right? Their internal CRM. So once it's labeled, okay. So they said that once the post is labeled, but accounts get like what do you do with false positives?
The user sees that 30% of the time, they take it down themselves.
Let me go back.
30% of the time,
hang on,
they take it down. And the user sees that 30% of the time, they take it down themselves. Staggeringly, they take it down. And that reducing that hateful content from being seen is one of the best examples how X is committed to.
But what about?
And the user sees that 30% of the time.
Yes. And what happens when you are wrong? What happens with false positives? What happens if they don't take it down? What happens if I answer them to debunk them? What happens if, like what happened a few weeks ago, which stopped me from using community notes anymore on anything culture wars, when you actually, in good faith, try to correct them and the right wingers bomb you with bullshit and downvote you into oblivion for pointing out facts. And then that you get flagged again because you were downvoted. These are easily manipulated. What's your process for false positives and bad actors?
The time, they take it down themselves. Staggeringly, they take it down. And that reducing that hateful content from being seen is one of the
hateful
best
content
examples
includes swear
how
words.
X is committed.
The word cunt, like I showed you before.
Encouraging healthy behavior online. And today, I can confidently sit in
What
front
is the healthy behavior that you
99
want? What specifically do you want? Like, what would you consider? Are you talking about positive sentiment? I want to know specifically, are you talking about positive sentiment? And no swears, G-rated. What's the fucking line? Wait, how? It's not obvious. I deleted 15,000 tweets in the last 6 months because I can't figure out what's wrong with my account. and I can't talk to anybody, and I'm still like, it's just like, what the hell? I watch these like crypto scammers and Nazis and like fake news, like these Twitter news people all of a sudden, tech news, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they're getting paid and monetized and like rewarded for bullshit, and people like me are punished because it's like, well, no, I need some criteria. Here goes my voice.
0.9% of all posted impressions are healthy.
How do you define healthy, though? Is porn healthy? Are conspiracy theories healthy?
You know, it goes back to my point about our success with freedom of speech, not reach. And if it is lawful, but it's awful, it's extraordinarily difficult for you to see it.
But how many millions of people follow Kanye West? Lawful but awful.
Oh, yeah. Kanye's the one we care about, right?
You know, Kanye, who hasn't rejoined the platform yet, but is planning to do so, will operate within the very specific policies that we have established, that we're clear on, that everyone who's watching this or listening on Spaces can access themselves. And we have an extraordinary team of people who are overseeing, hands on keyboards, monitoring all day, every day, to make sure that that 99.99% of impressions remain.
Who are they? Who are they? Can I call them? Can I lodge a ticket when there's a false positive? Who are they? What are the rules? I don't care about Kanye West. He's like Trump. They're edge cases. What about the ordinary users on the platform where you're making grand promises and not keeping them and not committing to winning back our trust? What about the 500,000 or so people whose data was harvested and weaponized against us, even though we did nothing wrong, because we followed the wrong fucking people for 6 months or whatever, and we're on a list that we can't get out of? What's your plan?
That number. But we also have to remember what's at the core of free expression. You might not agree with what everyone is saying. We want to make it a healthy debate and discourse. But
define it.
Expression at its core will really, really only survive when someone you don't agree with says something you don't agree with. And what a great place we would live in if we were able to return to a healthy, constructive discourse amongst people that we don't agree with. So labeling certain people or deciding certain people are...
She's obviously come from the Kamala Harris school of speeches, but you just say nothing.
Good or bad is not a universal thing.
Yeah, free expression of speech, not reach. That is lawful, not awful. I know, right? What's not obvious about that, Taya? It's not like those are politically or like legally loaded terms where these actually have meanings and implications, not just like at a international level, but also like in terms of like individual countries, individual preferences, individual tastes. There's like layers there. What's the process? What's the plan? I just want to know what the plan is. Oh, no, sorry, I'm under NDA. I can't talk about it. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Because there are some people that disagree with us.
But it's not about disagreeing with you. There's a whole cohort on Twitter for where disagreeing is a problem, okay? Yes, I get it. But some people think disagreement is awful. Does that mean that they're not going to get reach? Like what? Be specific, more specific.
And our individual opinions. That's why we're doubling down on brand safety. It's why our trust and safety team is so good at what they do.
And here's the next one.
Threads, though, as a competitor, which launched in 5 days, got 100 million users. I know they've given back some, but how big of a threat is that? And is Zuckerberg really going to fight Elon?
Oh, goodness. I don't know which part of that question I should take
They're
first.
both serious questions.
They're both serious questions. Listen, X is no stranger to competition. Many have tried over the years with the company formerly known as Twitter. But think about what Twitter has pioneered, right? Hashtags, verified checks, paid verification, really paving the way for what's next. It's why many people have tried. And you're right, Threads did jump in with a ton of hype.
So the person who invented hashtags, okay, that was a user of the platform. And do you know what happened? That person left. Okay, that person left Twitter. It's not your innovation for a start. It was a user-generated innovation, okay, that didn't come from Twitter. It came from the users. And this is that rewriting of history, this corporate claiming and rewriting of history, which is that if you know the product, a lot of those innovations and features were user-generated and user-driven. The @ symbol was user-generated. The hashtag, user-designed and user-generated. RT, QT, those things were user-generated innovations because your platform, and then you guys implemented it, okay? This was a co-designed product by users. You then took those users' data, abused it to weaponize it and use it against us to the point where we now have a trauma bond with your company and no way out or no alternative. Are you going to address that loss of trust? Where the rich kids, these popular kids, moved in, start fucking talking at us in front of us and ignoring all requests that are genuine. Now, again, I'm not saying it's their job. I'm saying that they're sitting there basically out in the open, it's revolting. And sitting there just not engaging at all with anyone outside Twitter and acting like everything's great and dandy and aren't we fucking great, and ignoring all feedback, not even responding to emails, okay, from good faith people who just want the details. We just want to know what the fuck is going on. We just want to know if you've got your shit together, because every indication, whether it's the courts, whether it is every interaction with staff on Twitter, whether it is Elon and his tweets, which is fine, whatever, I've defended all that stuff, whether it's this double speak nonsense that's coming, every single indication tells me that this is dead. Okay. And it's well, that's a shame, but I need to know. Just tell me. Okay. Because I've wasted a year already defending this shit. And it's just fucking hell. Why do I care? Because I was part of that co-design. I was part of that phenomenon known as Twitter. I have a say. Okay. And and I got punished for it. I want to know what the rules are now. That's it. Not these fluffy bullshit language. This Americanized nonsense. And yes, there's the terms of service, but that could change tomorrow too, because you just change it unilaterally without anyone's consent. I want to know what the rules are now and what your plan is. Details. That's it. Minor questions about the details. The rest, I don't give a fuck.
Of hype and a launch pad from their Instagram users that everyone was predicting this dramatic and continued growth. So that's where I land on, is obviously you said has dropped off. It's dropped off dramatically, but you can never, ever take your eye off any competition because they'll continue iterating. And as much as the launch has stalled,
I'm not getting
we're
hired
keeping
now.
an eye on everything that they're doing. What we can see is that they may be building to what Twitter was, okay? Enter rebrand, enter X, and we're focused
She's making
on
that
what
face.
X will be.
She's making the
And it's
smug face. You know that
entirely different
that-
roadmap
nah,
and
I'm
vision.
out.
Is it really a good thing if the head of X physically fights in a cage match against the head of Meta?
It's hard to. Is it really a good thing?
For what you're trying to do, build this business.
I think it is a separate excitement from the business. You know, I represent all business operations. I don't think I will be on the undercard for the cage match. So I think we have to really stay focused on the seriousness of the potential of X and not conflate it with things
Why did he
that
hire
may
this
be
person?
a humorous back and forth between Zuck
Yeah,
and
Elon,
Musk,
relax.
and we'll see if that cage match really does happen. What I can say is that I've had a front row seat of witnessing that Elon
She's not the right fit
is training
for this role.
I was in San Francisco last week, so that was true. He's posted about it. And I also know Zuck's history and level of preparedness. So nonetheless, what a great brand sponsorship opportunity. And I can't help myself. But what I was happy to see is that there certainly is an agreement to support one of the most important community groups that there is that we should all be thankful for, and that's veterans. So if it does happen, I would have to say there are there's some really great excitement of some terrific beneficiaries of it.
Would never happen with female executives.
I think we might have an exchange in a different way.
I'll
or a
fight
different
Linda.
Agree.
Isn't that insane? Anyway, hang on. But like, this is, and I feel bad. Hang on. Autoplay. I feel bad because like, that's just cringe. And I don't normally do react content, like how rare it is for me to react at things. But this is just, it's just, I don't know what's going on anymore. I think it's time. I think honestly, oh boy, I got nothing. And I know, again, you know, I've worked in this area. I know that you got to do corporate bullshit and all this bollocks. But at the end of the day, like, if that's the price that you've got, if I've got to pay this price, like, you know, like if I had to, I've actually thought about this, like the price of admission, right, to be successful or to like be hired at X, if it costs me my ability to actually call that out and go, that was actually fucking embarrassing, and that you should have done this better, and that it just reeked of inauthenticity and it's just like, I don't know how, like, what the hell that is or was, but it wasn't even good corporate bullshit, right? It wasn't even engaging in terms of like the corporate bullshit. But anyway, so everyone went nuts. Of course they did, because she's already attached to the World Economic Forum. I also acknowledge that a lot of what she says, she can't win. Okay, so people are going to assume that the conspiracy nutters are going to go conspiracy nut, right? But then you've got a handful of people that have like been doing a little bit of sleuthing, and like Twitter are hiring for trust and safety and stuff, and they're basically just filling it with the same old people again. The same old spooks, like CIA-aligned people and all that sort of stuff. Now, again, the quality of the information is, you know, always in doubt, right? But, you know, I have to take that, like, which is that, you know, he's liking tweets, he's on Blue Sky, following all these people that were like heavily about the part of the problem with Twitter One, right? Like people like Renee DeResta, and engaging with all these CIA people and shit like that, right? And it's like, well, okay, again, I was talking about this before, like, I think I've mentioned it with the gender stuff or anything. And it's like, look, I want to support you. I want to defend you. You know, it's like, maybe it's like, let's just, you know, like you're a lawyer, okay, or whatever. And it's like, look, I'm here to help you. I'm here to promote you. And I want to do this. I have some questions. I need to be able to be convinced that I can trust you. I need you to tell me, like, that this is the same thing with the gender thing. I'm on board with everything that you're saying, but you're being really freaking cagey about the fact that you have not provided any guarantees or promises for people who exploit the loophole with self-ID. What do you have a pervert plan? Do you have a plan for people who take the piss? Linda, do you have a plan? What is the plan? What is the process? What is the remedy for users that have been affected? Should I sue? Should I not? What's the plan for any false positives? I want you to satisfy my concerns about the overreach of censorship. Hire who you want. What's your plan for false positives? What is your process when you fuck up or the algorithm is wrong? What is the plan? Specifically. Then I can go off and support you and say, here's the plan. You see how it works? Because right now I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the new trust and safety guy and his response to people who, really glib, quite dismissive, very smug, aligned with Twitter 1.0 assholes who are again, I've defended them as well, but and I have some concerns about conflicts of interest there. Answer the question. What's your plan? I want to know whether I'm wasting my time applying or not. I want to know whether I'm wasting my time posting on the platform or not. I want to know when people come to me whether I can say Twitter's worth investing in. I want to know whether, brand managers who contact me and say, we're doing our strategy, do you, blah, 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 what do you think? What's your feel on this? You know a lot about this. What's your feel? And I can say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I think hang in there with X. Or, no, don't bother. Okay? That's the role that I've got. But, at this point, it's like, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. I got no evidence that anything's going to change and every bit of evidence that it's going to actually get worse. Okay, because now they've got it without policy people. They've got it with just brand people, just legal and just engineers, and they don't seem to have any real policy people who know the who were there and who understand these, one of the things from the lawsuit that I was seeing about Trump's data, right, was the fact that they first of all didn't know the data, but also that they said that the people that they could ask about these things didn't work there anymore. And it's like, well, okay. Okay. Anyway, that's it. So, anyway, I'm going to go. The voice is giving out and I got to study. So, and I'm hungry and I need to eat breakfast. But that was my rant. I hope it was enough. But it's just I am trying to just figure out what the fuck's going on here. I want to know whether, I'm trying to be fair and I just keep being punished for being fair. I, keep getting these glib, popular, either get ignored or glib responses from Twitter staff who show that nothing has really changed. They still hold users in contempt and they are still actively sort of working on the platform, to their own ends and not necessarily with users' interests in mind. I'm sure that there's a bunch of people that are doing their best and they mean well, but who are they? Can I talk to them? Can I contact somebody and get my shit sorted? I'm trying here. And it's like, what's the point? I may as well just, I've been holding off, but I may as well just say that right now there's no point as a content creator investing in X in terms of where you spend your time. Okay, no matter how many features they put on, right? The engagement is just garbage. Every fucking engagement is some dude telling me what I know about my own stuff. And, it's just not worth it. I don't get any reach. My reach, every tweet is capped at about 300 views max. It caps out no matter how many likes or retweets or engagements I get. Doesn't matter what I do, it's capped. I've obviously been ghost banned and flagged, okay, secretly somewhere, and no one will audit my account. There's no one I can contact. And honestly, if the answer is your account's fine, be better at content and do your, improve your sentiment, then I will. I want to be able to tell people what to do. There you go. It's known man approved. It's approved by a man, right? But it's just exactly. That's a joke, by the way. It's an in-joke. If you watch my stuff, you'll start to see the regulars and their jokes. Excuse me, but I've got to go. But at the same time, it's I'm fed up with this shit. And I know that there'll be people who are oh, yeah. It's no, but I'm trying to be reasonable. I don't think people understand what it's like to watch this platform grow and then fuck up so miserably. And I think a lot of the, anger around it is about that because, it's just corporate speak. That was literally just like, if I could think of a PowerPoint presentation, like it was insane. And it was like, she was reading from a fucking auto cue, for crying out loud. It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And I don't know how anyone, like, I suppose now I'm sure she's a nice person. She seems all right, but she doesn't use Twitter. She doesn't engage. It's like, what the fuck? Anyway, whatever. I'll still be there. I'm not going to quit. There's no point. But I'm not, like, if people ask me whether they should be investing in Twitter, I'd probably be saying at the moment, still watch and wait. Put it elsewhere for now, right? But, I'm not someone worth it. I'm only someone who signed up like a whole bunch of famous people in the early days and got momentum going. But that doesn't matter. It's just my own personal influence that matters. It's not the fact that I'm influential in any area that's outside of fucking Twitter. Well, anyway, I'm going to go. I love you. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Matt. I hope your tooth's good and stuff. And yeah, but anyway, I lament. I lament. But, I'm just sick of this shit. I just want to know what to do. Anyway, time to go. I got to go study. Take care. Bye. Bye. Do 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 do.